So this is the introduction about the team canvas. I worked for about 15 years with several teams, business teams, all kinds of teams. And this is the result out of a lot of teamwork. What we found out is that it is very important to organize your team in the beginning, to set some rules, to set some values, some goals, some other stuff. And as a team, I really like what Henry Ford, the Ford cars, maybe you know them, what he said, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is a process, sometimes not an easy process, but working together is success. So I never had a team without fights. Ask Matthias how many fights we had. Value Me and strengths tests helped us a lot to overcome our fights. Because I give an example, Matthias, he has competition as strength number one. So he always wants to be number one. He always wants to be the best. And I know if Matthias is on board, we will be the best, we will be number one. The level will be very high. But I have Maximizer as one of my top strengths. So whenever he said something, I maximized his thought and automatically I was number one. But that was not my goal. I just maximized his thought. So that made him very angry and I did not understand what's going on. But when we did Strengths Finder, we found out what's happening. So now I know I don't need to have the last word, I just quiet when I think it's good enough. So I'm just quiet, I don't maximize it because he needs to be the number one and it's good. I love people who have competition. It's really, they keep up the pace and so on. So the team canvas is good to get to know each other and to organize your team. So what you will do is fill out all these blocks. Let's talk about organization. In this block, you talk about to what community do you belong. Maybe it's a YMCA community, maybe it's a business community, but it's important not to be a free-flying team, okay? Be connected to other teams or be connected to a community. Then go-to person. What if you have a fight? What if you can't make any decision anymore because you're so angry with each other and the temperature got high? So you have to define a person you will go to if you can't find a solution anymore. It's very important. A person of trust, a person of peace. This is also the peacemaking process. So if you have a fight, if you have to argue, you have to define here, in times of peace, you have to define a peacemaking process. So if you have a fight, first, who is your peacemaker? Who is the person who can bring peace to the team? So we do it like this. If we have an argue, the peacemaker lifts his hand and says, okay, now I'm in position. And everyone then has to listen to the peacemaker. And maybe he says something like, okay, everyone will take a walk for 20 minutes. Or we don't gonna talk about that topic anymore. Tomorrow we're gonna talk about. So he will just brings up solutions to bring peace, to bring unity. So for every team, this is a different process. But it's important that you define a process. How do you bring peace back to your team? And if nothing helps, you have the go-to person, okay? The final authority in a dispute, which we as team binding, that's different, yes, subordinated, okay? You understand what I mean? So the go-to person is the person which will make a decision and we all listen to it. Otherwise, you will end up somewhere. So you start with the organization. When do we meet? Where do we meet? Do we have other meetings? Like, do we meet once a year somewhere out in the Alps, in the mountains? Or what kind of meetings do we have? Then you also do the onboarding process. How do you become a member of the team? So this is important to define. And also the offboarding process. If someone wants to leave, how do you leave the team? I give you an example. Here in this community, business community, the offboarding process is you share it with the community that you want to leave. You tell them why you want to leave, and then you have to pay a beer for everyone. So you do a little party. That's the offboarding process. Very easy, but it's defined. So the door is also open to come in, but also to get out. That's very important. Otherwise, a lot of stress. Culture. How do we treat each other? So what is important into your team? Like honesty, like transparency, to be transparent or whatever. What is your culture? Or not to be corrupt or whatever, stuff like this. Then the roles. Who is doing what? That's the point here. Who is the communicator, like for the media, the press? Who is doing the protocol, writing down all the decisions? Who is in charge of finances, and so on. You will see it. Here, you're going to talk about the vision and goals. Where do you want to be in 1 year? And here it is very important that the goals or the vision is measurable. Like in 1 year, we want to open, let's take the Capsule Hotel, we want to open 10 more hotels. In 3 years, we're gonna be in Germany and open up 20 more hotels in Germany. And in 5 years, we cover the world, whatever. It's just an example, okay? But what are your goals and make them measurable? Then purpose. Why does your team exist? What is the bigger picture? For us, one of the bigger pictures, I take the Capsule Hotel again, is to make Switzerland affordable for everyone. Because Switzerland is so expensive, the hotels are so expensive. So we wanted to create a space which is cheap and which has a very good footprint, you understand? So it's less 80% than a normal hotel if you stay here. So you do something for the environment of the world. So this is the purpose, okay? What rules do you have at your team? So set up rules. And maybe in the beginning, you don't have all the rules, but during the years working together, you find out what your rules are, and then you just extend that list. Maybe that's too small. You can take a white page and put down the rules. Like if we say we meet at 8, everyone is there at 8. Like today, I had a phone call every Tuesday from 8 to 9. We have a phone call as the team of the Capsule Hotel. So this is a binding agreement. So every Tuesday at 8 o'clock, I have to be ready for a phone call, and we go through the tasks. You understand? The values, do together value me, the value test, and find out what are the values. I take the Capsule Hotel again. One of our values is to go big. So in the very beginning, we said we don't just want to have one hotel, we want to go big. Or focus on strength. That is our value. Or another one is 10% of our revenue is revenue given. No.
Profit.
Of our profit, sorry. 10% of our profit, we're going to reinvest in other startups. Okay, that's one of our values. And then at last, the stories. What stories do you going to share? Your clients, your community. What stories can you share? Maybe you don't have stories in the beginning, but later on, you're going to have stories. Like here, again, to make it practical. We just opened the hotel, then the city came and told us you have to close down again because there were a missing permission, okay? It wasn't our fault, was all around Switzerland. Everyone knows about that. So, but that's a story we share. But the funny thing was, during that time, we had a community meeting, and it was the funniest meeting we ever had. We were laughing so much. There was so much pressure on us from all the medias, from the city governor, and. So we laughed so much. So that's one of the stories we share, okay? So find out what are the stories you share. That's how to organize a team. So you can use that team canvas to tonight, work on it, and you don't have to finish it today, okay? Every day you get 1 hour to work on that, to define stuff. And then maybe in half a year you do it again. Or maybe talk about the stories again, or the purpose. Maybe it's changing. This is an ongoing process. You got it. Huh? Okay, thank you so much for listening. And